Cool. So I have a lot to tell you guys today. It's coming up well. It'll take the full, I think, 40 minutes. Hopefully it's good information. I try to make this as useful as possible for everyone. Am I blocking the screen? Can I move around? Okay. So at any time, if you guys want to take off, whatever you need to do. If I'm boring, too boring for you. But hopefully I'll keep it interesting. Okay. So the first thing I want to touch on is why should you do an internship? Well, internships allow you to gain experience in the industry. Okay. And you've probably heard that before. And I've actually have had some internship experience, and I'll kind of go through my background and what I've done as a student. So, like I said, I have 2 UX-related internships. The first was at MINDBODY Incorporated. They're based out here in SLO. They make business management software, and that was did that in the summer of 2014. And this last summer, I was a product design intern at a company called Workday. They make software similar to Oracle, business management, human capital software. So both were kind of enterprise level companies I worked at. So it just kind of depends. This is what I kind of veered into. It's a really cool industry. So I'm going to go into how I was able to get these internships and what I've learned through my interview processes and kind of the different techniques that I went through in order to get these. Okay, so I'm going to just give you guys some tips, give you guys some kind of life hacks into how I actually got these internships. So my backstory. When I first came to Cal Poly, I was actually a computer science student. So came in to Cal Poly wanting to kind of gain the technical side of things. And what happened was I came to Cal Poly, went through it, I failed a couple classes. And felt like computer science really wasn't for me. And so in high school, I actually did a lot. I was very design oriented, did a lot of design related things. And I said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get out of this major. So I switched to GRC the winter quarter of my second year. And so from there, got into the major, and I really wanted to look into getting an internship. I knew I wanted to go into software, but didn't necessarily know what types of jobs that were necessarily related to GRC. So when I came to graphic communication, I didn't know that like half the major was like printing oriented. I didn't really know. I was like, okay. So that was kind of a roadblock, and that was when I had to go out and do the research on my own. Okay, and so if you guys are looking to get into something other than printing, it kind of sucks that a department doesn't focus as much on UX or as much on like web stuff as I wanted to personally. So a lot of the things that I ended up doing was going out and doing the research myself, and I would say the same to you guys. But hopefully this presentation will help you kind of guide you towards all the research that I've done in the past to kind of give you that platform for you to kind of jump into the next portion. So, like I said, started looking for internships. And so I want to talk about looking for internships. So like I said, I didn't want to code. I just absolutely hated coding. I just wanted to design. So the question is, are there internships or positions out there that just are design related? Okay, because I was just like, I was over all the coding. I just wanted to do plain design. And as a matter of fact, there are plenty of UX positions. So there's kind of two segues you can go. The first path is you can do what we call a design agency position. So you've heard of like Rosetta, Level, design agencies. You're going to be a designer and you go on and you work on client projects. So for example, Like you have local businesses that come to the agencies, and they'll want like an app or a website design, and you go ahead and do it. And typically these positions have like we'll kind of dive into all the different types of things you do in UX, because UX is kind of like this really, really big umbrella, and it's kind of confusing at first, but hopefully I'm going to kind of word it in a way where it's not as confusing. So that's kind of like that first wave. So if you like working with clients, if you like doing working with people and kind of like catering different projects towards different companies, that's good. That's one thing. But for me, that wasn't necessarily the case. I couldn't see myself doing any client work. If you guys ever been in like freelance positions, it's very difficult because you have to really please the client. You have to please the customer, right? And so sometimes how they always say the customer's always right. You get a lot of that. I didn't like any of that. So that's what came about me looking at software company UX positions. So that's the second type of route you can take, are in-house UX positions, and we're gonna go dive into a little bit more into those types of positions. Okay, so the first there's 4 different types of positions. There's something called a UX researcher. So someone that goes out and researches user like existing designs, or maybe sometimes in the business world you call it customer development. So understanding the customer, interviewing them, trying to understand what their needs are. So that's kind of what a UX researcher does. The second kind of job is interaction designer. So someone that designs the wireframes, or in other words, designs the way that a user goes through a certain task or tries to reach a certain goal. So an example I like to use is like Instagram. So everyone uses Instagram or Snapchat, right? So an interaction designer will actually design the way in which you want to upload a post onto Instagram. So what are the different steps that you need in order to do that? So first, you open up the Instagram app. Then you have your feed. You got that bottom bar, and it says like that center one. It says upload photo, right? And then you can either take a photo, or you can choose a photo from your camera roll. So designing all the options for that user and designing that workflow for a user, that's what an interaction designer does. Okay. And the third one, the next stage in UX, which is visual design. And visual design encompasses taking what an interaction designer does and basically paints and makes it beautiful. Okay, so talk about, say, the interaction designer designs the buttons, what goes on, the layout, and the visual designer will go in and apply their paintbrush and apply the color, apply the icons, the typography. So that's kind of that third position. And these are the 3 primary positions that companies, software companies in particular, so like Apple, Google, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, they all have these types of positions. And you'll probably see that in a lot of job openings and job positions when you look it up. And the fourth one is what I call a product designer. And a product designer encompasses all 3 of these. And so I actually did a product design role where I kind of did all 3 positions. And we'll kind of go into all of that as well. Okay. So with that being said, let's talk some money. Okay, because money is always good. It's always a good topic for everyone. So in the Bay Area, the salary for UX designers are about the same as software engineers, believe it or not. Okay. As far as software goes, so you have all the engineers that code the stuff, and then you have the designers. So UX has been becoming like more of a booming industry within software. Okay, UX and design has become more relevant to our everyday lives. You talk about how trying to make stuff easier to use for people, and companies are realizing that we're important. UX designers are very important to the success of a product, and we are getting paid just as much as engineers now. It's great. It's a really, really great feeling. So with that being said, does anybody know what a starting UX designer salary is?
Like 80K, right?
All right, 80K? Any more guesses? 80K? You think so? Okay, cool. So, typical salary range, 70K to 100K. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. So, if you just do some research, I mean, obviously, this is more towards the Bay Area. Okay, it's obviously going to be dependent upon where the position is. So, like, if you're saying going for a position, say down in Los Angeles, or say out in Texas, like in Austin or somewhere else, it's going to fluctuate. But most of the companies that I think you guys would be applying for, if you guys wanted to stay in California, they're mostly up in Silicon Valley, Bay Area. Okay, so this is the salary range in which they go for with that. So with that being said, because I want to relate this to bring this back down to internships, because that's what my main talk is about. So in the Bay Area, how much do you think UX design interns get paid per hour? Any guesses?
50.
In the Bay Area?
Yeah.
Like 30.
30? Any other guesses? 22? 2250, 2256. Okay, so I like to point this out to people because it's very eye-opening. Okay, it's very, very eye-opening. UX design interns get paid $25 to $40 an hour, depending on whatever company that you're going for. But this is kind of the range. It's a big range, obviously. $25 to $40. That's a huge range. That's all dependent on your existing experience, past experience. It just all depends. And all of this, there's a lot of different perks. And the hot topic right now is like all the Bay Area companies, like Google. You know how they provide you with food, housing, and all that stuff. So we'll get into that. But a lot of it, a lot of companies will offer the different perks. But this is purely how much you get paid for this kind of stuff. So companies don't like to be transparent when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I do have a lot of friends that have UX design related internships and stuff, and we've all kind of talked about salary and what people get paid, and so this is where we come up with what I kind of came up with. And also, if you look at websites like Glassdoor and other websites, they'll actually have some data kind of pertaining to all that as well. So just keep in mind, okay. So, like I said, switch to GRC second quarter, and now I want to start applying for internships, okay. So I am like a newbie when it comes to GRC now, okay. Newbie, and so when I went ahead and got into the major, started applying for internships. And I applied for over 20 internships at the beginning, okay? And guess how many responses I got back? It was really sad. I didn't get any responses. 0, okay? So I was like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? And this was kind of this circle that I was going through. It was like horrible. It was disgusting. I was really depressed. Not really, but it kind of sucked, and I needed to change something, right? And so the first thing I really emphasize you doing is, if you haven't done so already, because you guys are GRC students, brand yourself, okay? Make a brand that kind of showcases your design style, okay? So I have my own design style. I really like clean, simple, elegant, using like one color, blah, blah, blah. Whatever kind of floats your boat, go ahead and do that, okay? So that's the first step. I said, okay, I'm going to brand myself. So here's some examples of my branding. So I have like white, red. I use that as my branding scheme. some different types. So just kind of getting different types of colors and different types of ways of organizing your stuff. Okay. So this is, again, some of the stuff that I did. Next. So the next thing after you brand yourself, you need to create a resume. Okay. A resume is that one sheet, piece of paper that kind of tells your life. Tells your life to an employer, what you've done, and what it is all about. So my advice for you guys is to cater your resume for the type of position you're going for. So this might seem hard, but it actually helps a lot. Okay, so if you're going for a UX-related internship, you put, my objective is I want a UX internship, an internship related to user experience. If you're going for a graphic design position, you're gonna put that. If you're going for some printing-related internship, you're going to do that. Okay, so always cater to what you want, because employers, that's when they're looking at their objective, like, okay, this is a candidate that I want. So you can see here on my resume, it's very small, but up here I have an objective, and it says to obtain an internship in product development and user experience. And then it has relevant information, so like my education, my experience. If you guys know me, I'm really big into entrepreneurship, so I actually put an entrepreneurship section. Employers really like personal projects. So if you guys don't have any personal projects, I would really highly recommend like doing some. They like that kind of stuff, and like showing that you're really acclimated and wanting, like really just curious into designing different things. So whatever it is, you can go do the personal projects, and I'll kind of dive into that a little bit more. And then if you want, you have honors and stuff. If you guys think I'm smart, I'm not that smart. I've only been on Dean's list once, and that was actually when I was switching majors, when I really desperately needed to. Okay. And then up here I have some knowledge. So knowledge could be like typography, a logo design. I use so I have it software and knowledge. So software I have like Photoshop, Illustrator, all those good programs. So I actually have copies of my resume up here after the talk. You guys can like look at it and whatever. So yeah, so that's kind of general format for a resume. Next, we are designers, people. And as designers, we need to show off what we can do. What are our capabilities? And so for just like resumes, I really highly recommend to cater your portfolio to the type of position you're going for. Okay, so I brought some examples of some portfolios. I have 4. Okay, this is kind of crazy, right? But they all kind of encompass the different types of positions I'm going for. So for instance, I have a UI UX portfolio. This is all dedicated towards projects that I have for that. Next, graphic design. So if I wanted to be a graphic designer, this is the portfolio that I give to the employer. Okay, and then I have some other ones that I'll touch on later in the presentation. Okay, so with the portfolio, have to 4 to 6 portfolio pieces you're proud to show off. The key word is proud. Okay, you don't want to show something that you're not proud of. Okay, so if you don't have 4 to 6 portfolio pieces to show off that you're proud of, then make them. Set some time off, dedicate some time, make some pieces, make some dummy pieces, and I'll kind of go through what I've done while I was going through my internship process, and not my internship itself, but applying for internships. Okay. So, started applying for internships. Guess what? I didn't have any of this. Okay, when I started applying for this, when I had those 20 some odd positions I was going for, I didn't get any because I didn't have any of this. Okay, so there's something called a word in the entrepreneurship world. It's called hustle. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the word hustle, this is what it means. Okay, it means to move or work in a quick and energetic way. Okay, so this is what I did. That quarter, I threw the books down and said, okay, I'm going to make some just random projects, just fake. I'll just call them fake projects because they weren't really meant to do anything. It was meant to showcase what I can do. And so I'm going to go through one of the examples I did to kind of showcase my design style and whatnot. But hustle is the key word into getting, at least for me, getting the internship opportunities I've received. Okay, so with that, here's a portfolio piece that I actually scrapped together. Okay, this was actually a bigger project that I ended up proceeding with, but these were early designs. Okay, I spent like 2 days basically designing, just thinking of this, thinking of what it was, and so Thrice, it's a social network that allows you to post 3 pictures at a time. Okay, that's the idea. These are a couple of the mock-ups I did for it. Okay. For the basis, I didn't have any portfolio pieces, so make some. So that's what I did. I made some portfolio pieces, and this project is actually in here. Okay, so you guys can check it out after this talk. So with that being said, the next topic is, guys, Cal Poly sadly isn't a design school. We're not. What is Cal Poly, guys? Cal Poly is an engineering school, okay? But that's not bad, okay? That's not bad at all because we're an engineering school and software requires a lot of engineering. A lot of software developers, software engineers, computer science students, okay? So how many of you guys have been to the career fair? Okay, not this career fair, but like the big career fair. Like, have you guys seen a lot of tech companies? There's a lot. Like, it's just infested with tech companies. And that's good, okay? That's really good for us because we can see, like, oh, look at all these things. But a lot of times you'll go up to the companies and like, oh, we're not looking for your position, right? We're looking for software engineers. We're looking for engineers. Get around that. So I'm going to tell you how to get around that, okay? So, go to a career fair. So you have your portfolio, you have your resume, you have all that stuff. At career fairs, go to the software company booths. Next step, ask them if they offer any UX-related internships, okay? These recruiters, the way that software companies work, they have a pool of recruiters. They'll have college recruiters, and each of the college recruiters, they'll be specified into each department. So at Cal Poly, there's going to be engineering recruiters, okay? But what happens is they'll know. These are recruiters. They'll know what kind of positions they're going for. Ask them if they offer any. If they do, give them your resume, okay? Give these recruiters your resume and tell them, I want you to forward this resume to the UX or product design recruiter. Okay, this is literally what I did, and this is how I got my leg into every single interview after. You go in and say, okay, here's my resume. Please forward this to them, and don't just forward it to them. So don't just give it to them. Okay, after the career fair, okay, or so actually during the career fair, get the recruiter's contact info and follow up with them. This is key. Okay, follow up with the recruiter. It could be the day of, the day after, but very soon after after you meet with them. Okay, so just tell them, write a simple email. Hey, thank you for it was great talking to you at the career fair. Like I said, I'm looking for a UX design related internship. I was wondering if you could forward my resume. I gave it to you at the career fair. Here's another copy attached in this email. So just give it to them. Make sure they forward it to you, and bother them, really. So, like I said, be proactive. Seriously, just bother the recruiters. Just don't be reactive and like just wait for them to contact you. Contact them, okay? Contact them, because what's on their minds is they're following through all these different resumes and they're trying to just look for all the qualified applicants, and it happens to be for engineering, for all the software engineers. So just bother them, make sure your resume gets to the right person. That's step number 1. Okay. So next I want to talk about the interview process. So once when the recruiters get your resume, Most UX internships have several rounds of interviews, at least from what I've experienced. Okay, and the time that you guys need to be looking for UX-related positions is actually winter quarter. That's when they start opening up all the positions for the next summer. So, say winter quarter of this last year, they're recruiting for this summer. So they're recruiting very, very far in advance, like maybe 4 to 5 months in advance. So it's kind of crazy, but for software engineers, it's actually like fall quarter they start doing it. So I recommend doing it winter quarter because that's when most open up. It doesn't hurt to go earlier than that. It doesn't hurt to go fall quarter. So this is the timeline, guys. This is the timeline generally. So every single company is going to be a little bit different, but this is generally what they do. Okay, so first you go through the phone screen typically with a recruiter, and then you go do an on-site interview or another phone interview with a manager or someone that you're going to be working with. And a lot of times they'll go ahead and they'll give you design homework. They'll see your portfolio, they see your resume, but they were like, well, how about I want to see you try to solve something. And typically they'll give you some kind of design homework or like a critique or something. And then from that, you'll get a second and third on-site interview. Like I said, every single company is different. Sometimes they have like a panel of people that you talk to. Sometimes you have one-on-one interviews. It fluctuates. So this is just kind of like a general timeline. And then lastly, if you kind of get through all that, hopefully you get a job offer from that. So first, the phone screen. So phone screens are designed to weed out candidates that don't meet requirements. Okay, so this is where a lot of people get tripped up. Okay, the recruiter will be like, so we're offering the position in Texas. Are you willing to go out to Texas? And then sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know. Just say yes. Okay, you're trying to get your foot in the door. Okay, Texas is like way out there, but say like the Bay Area. Okay, so because you might not have housing, you might not figure out all that kind of stuff, but figure it out later. Tell them that yes, I have transportation, I have this, because you're in the end. If you get the job offer in the very end, then you figure it out. Then you start figuring out all this stuff. Okay, just don't be hesitant when going through this position. Go in and just say yes. I'm willing to go out to Texas or to wherever the position is. Okay. And so they're typically, like I said, done by recruiters. All recruiters do, they're just trying to find applicants that are qualified to do to run the position. Okay, that fulfill the position requirements. Because then after that, you have your in-person interviews or phone interviews, and they're typically with all of your, usually with managers. So usually these interviews, these in-person interviews are with the person you're going to be directly working with, or the person that's going to be in charge of you. So just make note of that. So in in-person interviews, try to always be honest with your answers, okay? With that, it's going to be like, do you like working with teams? Do you like just kind of explain your type of style? Okay, and if you don't know it, then just say I don't know. Okay, so some typical interview questions. Okay, a lot of people ask me. So a question that might come up is like, why do you want this UX position? And a lot of times people will be like, oh my God, well I don't really have any experience in UX. I don't have this experience, and a lot of people don't think that they can have this position because they don't have experience. Well, internships allow you to gain experience, and so what I say is really just take that that disadvantage that you have and leverage it, and say, you know what I do. Yes, I don't have any UX related internships or any experience, but I'm really excited I'm really interested in this industry. I'm really interested in your company and stuff. So this is a typical answer. This is like, you don't have to say it in this way, but something similar to this. So You could say I'm very interested in choosing the UX field as a career choice, although I don't have any UX-related experience. I believe this internship will help me gain experience in the UX industry. So just leveraging your weaknesses and use them to your advantage. Okay. A lot of people think weaknesses are bad. They're actually good because they can. You can show one. It shows that you've identified things that you want to improve on, and that's good. Employers do like that. They don't just like the things that you do well. They also like knowing that you know what you need to work on, and that's actually very, very good as well as an employer. Any questions so far? Okay, cool. Next, so I hustled. I went through all this stuff, and I was able to get an offer. Okay, so I got a UX design internship at MINDBODY. So a little bit about this internship that I got. I worked I was an Android UX design intern. I was able to actually do kind of all three aspects of UX design. So I did UX research, I actually did interaction design, and visual design. So it was really cool. This company allowed me to get the full breadth of UX to see what I really wanted to get into. Awesome. So it's going to depend on whatever position you're going for, but this is typically, this is what I did in my internship. Okay. So I actually got paid $14 an hour. So this is definitely on the lower end of things. And so out here in SLO, MINDBODY, they're actually known for not paying interns as much as other companies. So that's just a business practice that they do. It's not necessarily what I agree with. But at the time, I really wanted to kind of gain experience in UX internship, in UX, and so money didn't matter, but this is what they paid me. So I just want to give you, I want to be fully transparent so you guys are understanding of what kind of money is in this industry, because I don't want you guys getting ripped off. Okay, that's the last thing I want you guys to do, is get ripped off by companies. I want you to know what is out there, what the opportunities are. So in this job, I worked with one UX researcher, one designer, one product manager, 4 software engineers, and 4 quality assurance engineers. So I was able to work with a lot of different people. I got to what we call peer design, and that is working with the engineer side by side to get your designs implemented in the way that you envisioned it. Okay, because as designers, if you guys ever had the experience, like you'll give a design to a developer, hey, here it is, this is how I want it, and they code it, and it's nothing like what you envisioned. And that's what peer designing is all about. It's taking those designs and you sitting next to the developer and making those edits and making it exactly to what you want. Okay, so that's who I worked with during my internship. And also, I think the number one thing that I really focused on, or actually learned, that really just was out of the blue. I didn't know anything about this. I learned something called Scrum, and I would write this down. This is actually very important. Scrum is an agile software development technique. Okay. And a lot of Bay Area companies, like I want to say 85% of Bay Area companies, like Apple, Google, Workday, everyone that I kind of know uses this software development technique. So I would research it. This is a whole nother lecture. I would just take a look at it, research it, understand it, because understanding this and understanding how the organization and how software is built is actually very beneficial for you guys. Okay, every company is going to be a little different, but a lot of companies will base their software development off of this methodology. So go look at that. And I also used some tools. Tools I used were Sketch, Keynote, and InVision. Sketch is a program that is similar to Illustrator. It's commonly used in industry. In both of my internships, we used Sketch. I would highly recommend downloading that program. It's $49 with that student discount. I would highly recommend downloading that. It's actually beneficial for you to know this program for any types of internships, but also for your own sake. If you're designing websites, designing stuff for mobile, it is years ahead than Illustrator. Okay, it's so much easier to use after you kind of get through that initial stage of learning a new program is always kind of difficult. But if you know Illustrator, it's actually very easy to learn Sketch. I'm not going to go into that, but that's what I used. I also use Keynote. Keynote is this program, but you could actually use Keynote for animations. So if you kind of go on YouTube and just YouTube Keynote animations, there's some really, really cool things you can do to animate things when you're trying to show off your designs. And the last one is a software called InVision. It's a prototyping tool. We use that when we were conducting usability studies, usability tests within the internship. Okay. So next, had the UX design internship at MINDBODY, and I ended that internship. And what did I do next? I decided that I needed to start applying for another internship. So literally right after I had that internship, I started applying for the next one. Okay. So you might ask, why do I want to do another internship? Well, going back to it, internships allow you to gain experience in the industry, and it's such a great way. Internships are such a great way to just get that experience. So maybe I didn't like that internship at MINDBODY. Maybe I did. It kind of gives you an idea of what it's like to work in the industry. And so doing multiple internships, working at doing different things, allows you to kind of gain that knowledge. Okay, so these are good. So that's what I did. And so going back to the portfolio. So after looking at going through all these interview processes, I found out that employers love to see your design process. Absolutely love it. Okay, so you have this nice UX portfolio, but a lot of times you can see oh, these are the final designs. Usually you shove your final designs in your portfolio. What employers actually really, really like is to understand your process and how you got to those final designs. So here's my example with my design process book. So I actually made a portfolio just like that. This is a snippet of what's in here. So kind of going through what are the steps. So I went through sketches. I went through a design review. I iterated it. I did this. I did this whole loop. So depending on whatever your design process is, you want to perpetuate that in your design process booklet. Okay, and so this is my example. What I did was I went through and showed existing screens within something. I showed the user stories. User stories are basically features that users want in this software or a particular feature. I won't get into that. It's a whole nother topic. But going through my process. So for me, I like sketching. So I went through, showed sketches. Then next I went through wireframes. So wireframing, so guys, it's very important to save all your work. Save all of your work. Save every version 1 through version 10. It's very, very beneficial for companies to see that process, that iteration process. Why did you make the changes from version 1 to version 3 to version 8 to version 10? It's important. Okay, so in this case, I just only did a couple low fidelity sketches, and then boom, I went on to high fidelity sketches and showed off okay, these are the finished product, and then maybe you can shove in there, oh, this is also this is what I did in order to make those changes. This is the reason why I did it. So again, employers love your design process. I would highly recommend doing that. So I started applying for another internship, And again, I hustled, okay? I hustled, and this time I actually went to a tech talk. The VP of User Experience at Workday gave this tech talk the week of fall, during the week of the fall career fair. And from that, I gave this guy, after his talk, I gave him my resume, gave him this design process, said, hey, I'm looking for an internship. I actually had a couple friends working at Workday before. I knew about the company. I said, hey, I heard great things about this company. I really would love to work work here if you have any UX positions. And so gave him this stuff, and I'll just make this story short and sweet. Basically, he loved it. He said, hey, I'll get you in contact with one of my managers, and I got one interview with him. I set up an interview with one of the managers, and was able to land an internship in one interview. So that was actually very, I think, it's an outlier as far as me getting an internship. But I think it was all because I hustled and I went to these types of things. So I would highly recommend going to tech talks, going to different company seminars, getting to learn about companies, because these are the things that help you get your foot in the door, other than going to the career fairs and stuff. So I'm almost done. So I went to a product design internship at Workday, so I'll kind of talk about a little bit about that. So worked as a product design intern. I also got the opportunity to work I got to dive into UX research, interaction design, and visual design. In this internship, I actually got paid $32 an hour, and they provided free housing. So that was really, really good. So in this internship, I worked with one other UX researcher, two other designers, and 2 product managers. And this company also used Scrum. So they implemented it in a different way, but similar methodology. And the software used, actually the same exact software. It included Sketch, Keynote, and InVision. Just use those 3. So I would highly recommend kind of looking into those. So with that being said, guys, there's no secret recipe. This is kind of what I went through. So hopefully you guys kind of got some valuable information from this talk. Landing your first internship is very, very difficult. Okay, I had a very difficult time getting my first internship. Okay, it's hard for everyone. But when you get that first internship, you gain confidence. It's very easy to get offers for your second and third and fourth internships, however long you want to do it. But just keep in mind, if you put in hard work, you hustle, you put together a nice looking portfolio and stuff, things will pay off. You'll start getting results. Okay. And do things that will help you stand out from the crowd. Do ridiculous things. Uh-oh. Where am I? Yeah, so do things that will help you stand out. And I want to finish off with a quote. Okay? If you were a stock, would you bet on yourself? Okay, so hopefully this kind of ties in to you as designers. So right now, if you were to invest in yourself, would you do so? And if not, what can you do to make yourself in a position where you do want to purchase yourself? So just be, I guess, finishing this off. It's all about, you trying to perceive. Are you at where you want to be? Okay, and starting off, I would highly recommend doing portfolio pieces and stuff that will help perpetuate your design style, your design stuff. So, with that being said, guys, I'm done. If you guys have any questions, just let me know at the end. I'm more than happy to talk. If you guys want to look at any of these portfolio pieces, would be more than happy to share with you what I've done. And guys, thank you for your time. Yeah. any questions?
So much
Yeah, that was great.
Great.
Yeah. That was
Great.
really cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think as far as intangibles that go behind more of the thinking to problem solving as far as UX? Because I know a lot of it is being able to think from the user side of using the product.
Mhm.
So what would be, I guess, not tips, but little characteristics someone would have who wants to go into UX? What would they want to have as far as like not getting to exactly the result, but the process of getting to the result?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So a lot of these companies are really interested in how you come about
Right.
getting to that final stage. And so a lot of it's just like problem solving. So say that I actually made this app called Polyshop my freshman year. It was like a meal calculator for VG's Cafe. And so I designed this thing initially in a computer science class. And in the interview, they'd asked me, so in one of your projects, what's the next step, right? So what's the logical next step? So like understanding like saying like, okay, based on like user feedback or based on what users want or like basically people using the app and saying, okay, what are some initial, what can you improve on the application? So understand, like knowing what the next logical step to go. So like maybe you have 10 features that you want to kind of implement, but you're trying to figure out what are the top 3. So like knowing like what. So obviously customer developments, like talking to customers is really good. Also showing like demographics, so like maybe market research. So like instead of making another feature within VG's Cafe, well, why not expand to like Sandfac, Metro, Jamba Juice, and having all those types of things. So that's my example, is just kind of getting, it's all problem solving.
Right.
All problem solving. And so in UX, typically you'll start out, you'll get a project, you'll have different requirements and stuff, and a lot of times you're going to go out and do like this research behind the product, and after having that research, you take that research data and you quantify, and you're like, okay, these things are coming up like the most, right? You're basically highlighting the things that are coming up most, and then you start designing something based off of those assumptions or based off that data. And then from there, you get your designs, and then you go and put it in front of the users that gave you that feedback, right? And then in that, there's something called a usability test. You test your designs, you ask them questions on the usability, like you give them a task. There's a whole process. I mean, if you wanted to go into that, I could talk to you individually about that whole process. But basically, it's all problem solving. Like, what are the next steps? What are the next steps? And you're probably really interested in that process. So that's a whole like another thing in UX. But yeah, they're really just interested in like what, from you initially, what do you think are the next steps to getting to that point? So companies love that. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. So this was great. I love, by the way, talking about UX. It really sucks that our department doesn't have a really big UX presence, but I'm really happy to kind of show you what this world has to offer, because it's a emerging field. It's very exciting. For me, I love the software, like tech startup area. It's awesome. Like, it's fun, it's energetic, you get to do really cool things, and honestly, I'm really glad that you guys came here, because I really want to kind of tell students that this is a really, really cool field to get into, and I'm really lucky to say that I've found my passion and found what I really want to do, basically for the rest of my life. Because in UX, what's really awesome is UX. When you think about UX roles, UX designers like basically play 2 different jobs. you have to understand the users that you're designing for, and then you're also a designer, so you're designing the way that they go about doing those things. So understanding that user, so like at MindBody, I designed for hairstylists, so for salons. And so as a UX designer, I had to understand, what did a hairstylist do? What's their day? What do they do with their job? When do they go to work? How do they greet their clients? How do they choose what type of haircut the clients get? I had to understand all of the different terminology, and so that's what's really interesting about UX. So whatever you go into, like, if you decide to work at Facebook or Instagram or a company like MindBody that deals with like hairstylists, it's cool because you get to understand these other roles within, and you're designing for that. So that's the other really cool thing that I think UX offers, is that that part in understanding other people's lives and making it. As a UX designer, you make their lives easier, and so that's also another great thing, because I love trying to make things easier for people to use. That's a whole nother kind of value prop into why you should be a UX designer. And you guys are GRC students. I'm guessing you guys have a knack for design, so use your skills to make the world better. And so that's what I'm trying to do as well. Yeah. Great. Awesome. Sweet. Yeah.
Thanks, Jared.
Yeah, no problem.
Can I look at your resume?
Yeah, go for it. Here.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Yeah. So here's a resume. Let's look at it.
Hi.
Questions?
Yeah, okay, so
Questions?
unfortunately I'm working on a project just in a couple hours,
Yeah.
so I really wish I was able to.
I recorded this whole
Yeah.
thing,
Okay.
so hopefully I can like
Not getting
post it on YouTube or something.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I have a web visual media concentration.
Okay.
And I,
Sure.
like, this
Do
is
you
like
wanna fill
super
this
applicable,
out?
and I'm like,
So the
oh
check
my
goes
gosh,
to
this
you?
is like
Or
the
like
worst.
that? Okay.
So
So
no
just
problem.
fill this part out.
Not be used.
And
Yeah.
then I'll pick up the check
So
and
is
probably
there
use
a
you.
way I could like contact you
For the
with a
rest.
question?
Yeah, for sure. Just
Yeah,
my
like
email
literally
is jaredhirata@gmail.com.
Okay.
So, or just find me on Facebook and you can message me.
So
Yeah, just shoot me whatever questions you have.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to answer. Yeah, so you can sit down one-on-one.
This is a great meeting.
You can have coffee,
Okay.
whatever works for you.
So,
So.
what's the
Oh yeah,
behind this
I was gonna get to that if I had more time. But that portfolio. So I actually.